Welcome to another episode of What Did the Patient Say with Doctors Dana and Lauren Brindisi, sisters and owners of Carolina Functional Neurology Center. We are providing you answers to frequently asked questions and bringing you inside information from real conversations we have with patients on a daily basis. Our goal is to spread the truth on health and healing because we believe everyone deserves to know the answers.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a special episode of What Did the Patient Say? With me, myself, Dr. Lauren Brindisi, and I am here welcoming our newest doctor to the CFNC team, Dr. Matthew Peterson. Welcome, Dr. Peterson.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
We are so excited to have you here. This interview today is going to be introducing Dr. Peterson to our patients and everybody out there who listens to our podcast. So Dr. Peterson, let's learn a little bit about you. Where are you from?
Yes, so I am from Wisconsin, a booming metropolis called Milltown, a town of 1,000 people and no stoplights. I did my undergrad at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. I got my bachelor's in Kinesiology, Human Performance. And then from there, I got my Doctor of Chiropractic at Life University down in Marietta, Georgia. I am also working on my clinical neuroscience diplomate through the CARIC studies for postgraduate studies.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about how you got into chiropractic and functional neurology.
Sure. So my chiropractic journey actually started when I was about 4 years old. My grandpa was my chiropractor's second patient after he opened his doors. And he loved it so much that he was like, we got to get the whole family in on this. And so one by one, aunts, uncles, grandma, and my mom started seeing Dr. Jim up in Cumberland. And from there, I was about 3 or 4 years old and I started having chronic ear infections. And my mom decided to take me to Dr. Jim and I got better. And as a result, I became very familiar with holistic and alternative healthcare at a very young age. And I also was a very healthy child, which I was very fortunate for. And I would attribute a lot of that to the chiropractic care that I received throughout my life. I knew at a young age that I really wanted to help people. Again, being so fortunate with my health, but being surrounded by a lot of my friends and family members who were struggling with theirs, I wanted to be able to help them one way or another. And I initially thought that the way that I could do that was to become a medical doctor. And for many years, that was kind of the goal that I had set my sights on. And I got to about my senior year of high school and was getting ready to go to college. I was supposed to be a microbiome major. And my dad started having some health issues. It just started with high cholesterol, high triglycerides. But instead of looking at what lifestyle modifications can we make, his doctor's first decision was, okay, we can put you on this pill or we can put you on this pill. And I was like, whoa. Like, my dad eats gas station food and TV dinners and hasn't worked out in the last 5 years. Like, why don't we start there? And so I just started to have this internal dilemma. And I was like, I don't know if this is the route that I want to take anymore. And so one day I was seeing Dr. Jim and he was like, are you excited for college? And I was like, I mean, yeah, but told him what I had going on. And he just kind of stopped and looked at me and he was like, have you ever considered becoming a chiropractor? And I was like, well, not really. Like, I actually don't know what it is you do. You know, you crack my neck and my back and you make me feel better, but why? And so we just kind of sat down and he gave me the general premise of chiropractic, which is the body has the power to self-heal, self-maintain, and self-regulate when free of interference, whether that's environmental interference, the things that we put into our body, or even just lack of proper movement. And that really resonated with me. So I went home that night, changed my major, and then just kind of went all in on chiropractic.
That's awesome. That's such a great story. I love hearing people's story in terms of how they got into chiropractic because everyone is so unique. And I feel like it just shows the power of what we do in this field. So what led you to functional neurology? How did you get involved with that?
Yeah, so I had never even heard of functional neurology until I got to chiropractic school. I should actually backtrack a little bit. When I was in undergrad, I worked or volunteered for this program where it was an adaptive physical education program for children with all sorts of developmental delays, conditions like cerebral palsy, spina bifida, autism spectrum disorder, all sorts of different conditions. And it was just really cool to kind of give them a sense of normalcy in their life. Just really enjoyed working with them. And then I also worked at a group home for survivors of traumatic brain injury. And as a kinesiology major, a big part of what I did was community integration, but a lot of rehab and physical activity. And I remember one client that we had in particular, he saw such great improvement initially, and he just kind of plateaued so quickly. And I just remember thinking to myself, there's something missing. Like, what if we just found something that could raise his ceiling, raise that plateau and that level of functionality? So I got to chiropractic school, and about a year in, I was introduced to the Functional Neurology Club at Life University. And they had a guest speaker that day who was basically explaining, like, this is what functional neurology is. And I had that light bulb moment where I was like, this is what he was missing. This is what these kids are missing. And so from there, my passion for functional neurology, the brain, and just how we can help people on such a more profound level when it comes to those neurological conditions, I just really started to develop a passion for it.
Awesome. So now that you're in practice, what types of conditions do you enjoy treating the most?
I would say, again, given my history, I would say that concussions is a big one. I really enjoy working with concussions, and I think that it's so interesting because you can have two people who had similar head injuries. They could go through the exact same mechanism of injury, but their symptoms are going to show up so differently just because of all the different things they've been exposed to, the different traumas they've had leading up to it. And so I think that because no two concussions or no two brain injuries are the same, I think it's just you never know what's going to walk through your door. And I think that that's what's really interesting about what we do.
That's great. Are there any other aspects of clinical neuroscience that you find most fascinating as you've delved into this field?
I think that's one of them, right? Is like, again, we can have somebody go through the exact same experience and come out so different on the other side. But I also think it's just the more we work with patients and the more we see all these different presentations, the more we realize that it's all connected. And so we need to look at the bigger picture when it comes to things like metabolic health, when it comes to diet, exercise, movement. All of those things play such a critical role in a patient's clinical outcomes. And just, yeah, I think that is probably the biggest aspect of clinical neuroscience that I didn't really get going into it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's so fascinating when we work in this space where we're treating patients on a more holistic level and we're understanding how all these systems are interconnected. And it's like a puzzle piece for us. So instead of just treating patients for the condition that they have, we have a unique opportunity where we spend an intimate amount of time with people, and we get to know them on a human level. We get to better understand what's going on with their physiology. And like you said, I mean, no two patients are the same. They come in with the same diagnosis, and our treatments can be vastly different, which is just so exciting. And then the power and the ability for us using, no drugs, no surgery, to be able to use rehabilitation tools and, changing people's activities of daily living and helping them understand their lifestyle can make such profound changes.
Absolutely.
So we have so many followers who are interested in learning more. And we hear that a lot, right? Can you tell us more about this? Can you tell us more about that? So are there any books that you would recommend for people to read or to listen to on a podcast if they're interested in learning more about functional neurology?
Absolutely. So I think a big one that I actually just recently came across, are you familiar with concussion discussions?
Yes. Yeah.
So really enjoy that book. It's kind of like it's an interview type format where they looked at, I think, 20 different practitioners and just asked them, like, give us a segment on concussion and how you treat it. So they have anything from chiropractors, functional neurologists, doctors of physical therapy. They have some psychologists, acupuncturists, all kind of just taking a deep dive on the topic of concussion and how these different modalities can help treat it and help people who have had brain injuries get their life back. And so I think it's just a great book to show people like some of the options that are out there and really to give them hope that like this is not where it stops. Like there are options for you to improve and to get your life back.
Yeah, I love that. That collaborative effort is something that we talk about a lot on this podcast. It takes a team. The patients that we're dealing with have complicated histories usually, and there's not a one size fits all solution for that. So thank you. I think that's a great recommendation.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell our audience?
One other book actually, it's not actually about functional neurology per se, but The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. He was an epigeneticist, a cellular biology researcher, and he started to, in his research in, I think the 60s, he was looking at stem cell research and just dove into how it's not necessarily our genes that influence our cellular health or how our outcomes are, but it's how our environment influences the genes. And so he looked at how even our thoughts and how we approach the world and our mindsets can have a profound effect on gene expression. And I think that when we're dealing with people who have been dealing with chronic illness for years and just start to think like, this is my life now, it's so important to have people understand that your mindset plays such a critical role in your clinical outcomes. And so I think that that's a really good book for people to read as well.
Yeah, I love that. I actually haven't read that one, so I'm definitely going to check it out. I say to people all the time, I go, your thoughts are a motor output, just like moving your arm is. So if you move your arm around a lot, you're not only going to change, the musculature in that arm, but the representation of your arm in your brain. And we can say that too for our thoughts, which is happening all day long, 24/7. People have some kind of chatter. And it's so important in our outcomes. And I love that we can tie that to more clinical aspects and think about it on a more scientific level in terms of how that actually changes our genetic expression.
Absolutely.
Well, Dr. Peterson, thank you so much for coming on. Welcome to the team. We're so excited to have you. Dr. Peterson has started here in our Charlotte location, and we are already getting great reviews about Dr. Peterson. So we can't wait to see how things go. And we look forward to having you on the team.
And I look forward to being on the team. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.